We are now ready to call committee of the whole to order, so we will go ahead and get started. Just one item on the agenda today, and that is the Renton Chiefs Community Council. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it right over to Chief Schultz. Oh, I was too quick for you.
There we go. Thank you for having us. Good evening, Council President, Council members. Want to take this opportunity to be here this evening and give you an overview of the Police Department's Chiefs Community Council. To give the initiative a little bit of background, our PD administration, along with support from the Mayor's office, felt it was important to include citizen involvement in how policing looks in the city and offer a forum for dialogue between the police department and community to solidify trust, build on transparency, and legitimacy for our organization. So our goal from the beginning was to strengthen our relationship in the communities, create a constructive dialogue where the community has input on how their police department operates. So we started the process by enrolling the help of Sean Greenway, who's seated with me. He's a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant. We have a long and collaborative history with Sean, including his support for community and police relations going back to when he was the Starbucks district manager here in Renton. He sponsored many of our Coffee with a Cop engagements, and Sean was brought on to help us facilitate the efforts with the group. So we wanted this to be a process where we collaborated with community members to envision what a partnership would look like between the community and police. We identified stakeholders to act as our steering committee. They were selected from community members that we had previous relationships with or referrals, and then enlisted them for their assistance. Some of them are here tonight. It's Pastor Mike. Thomas is here from Radiant Covenant Church. Ichine Tran from Viet Wa Group was one of the members. Minnie Tafasi from the Disney Beauty Clinic. Gerald Bradford, who's the reentry manager at Renton Technical College, and Angela and Jason Koenig from the Salvation Army, who are members of our steering committee. Several staff members also played key roles. Our communication and engagement coordinators, Cindy Morris, Stephanie Hines, and Sandra Havlick, who couldn't be here. Commanders Rutledge and Figaro also assisted, and the Deputy Chief Arden. So prior to today, I shared several of our supporting documents with you. Pictured here is what the landing page on our website will look like when we go live with this tomorrow. The bulk of the steering committee's work was spent on creating our charter, identifying the purpose, mission, vision, and makeup of what the council will look like. Don't want to regurgitate all that, but what we strive to encompass in these partnerships between community and police and discuss how policing should look in Renton. For the membership, we hope to gain a cross-section that reflects our diverse city, represented by age, race, business, nonprofits, LGBTQIA+ community, people with disabilities. So really coordinating on a broad range from our community, which should be large enough to represent a variety of interests, yet small enough for each member to be involved. So to that, we decided to limit it to 25 members. We want to hear ideas and experiences from all parts of the community, especially those who are often marginalized. As we looked at sustainability for the group, we realized that these documents that we shared are not set in stone, but will be fluid, and we can revise or pivot on them as we go forward with the council. Our next step, starting tomorrow, we will start a month-long recruiting process. This will be done via our social media, both the departments and the cities. Then it'll have a link back to that previous page for our website. With all the information that I've shared with you, we will also be doing outreach to groups that we partnered with before to solicit applications, as well as looking to steering committee members for their input on who should be on the group. So based on the response that we get from that month-long process, we're initially set up to accept applications through August 12th. So we'll give it a month. It'll be at 5 p.m. closing time. So one of our initial goals was that this group will be selected from community, by the community. We didn't want to have a partisan lean or perception that it was going to be biased in any way. The integrity of the group is one of the things that was important to us. So following our month-long recruitment drive, applications will be reviewed and discussed and chosen by those members of the steering committee. So kind of in closing this part of it, it's really our goal that we use this as be our community lens to help us identify blind spots that we have in the department, hear voices, perspectives, experiences from the community, and how we can better serve those with needs. This really hit home in some training that we did last summer. It was called Cohort Training, which stands for Community Organizers Helping Officers Restore Trust. Their main tenet of this training, I think I spoke to it before, was that policing isn't something you do to community. It's not something you do for a community, but it's something you do with the community. So our whole goal of this is to include community in how we operate within the city. So this program incorporates those values, and that we're all a part of the same community with the same values and the same concerns. With that, short and right to the point. Any questions about how we're going to organize it or what it's going to look like?
Thank you, Chief. Yep, Councilmember Prince.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chief, thank you so much for the presentation. On one slide, you talk about social media reach.
Yes.
Are we doing anything outside of social media to ensure that we're reaching out to the public?
We'll also do a press release. Get word out there.
And then, I'm sorry, follow up on that. I'm sorry. Are we doing anything in other languages?
Yes. Sorry. Should include that. We'll do that through the communications.
Thank you.
And if I could add at our events, we're going to have the charter. Hopefully, all those different. At our public events, because that's just a work opportunities. It'll be pushed out tomorrow. The recommendation's already ready. I just need to write it for the social media.
Thank you.
Not to exclude, we also really leverage our value our input from our key steering committee members. So leveraging their networks in the community.
Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. And follow up on that, I got some of it and missed it. Who's on the steering committee?
Who's on the steering committee? But members are here today, Joe Bradford, and then Pastor Mike Thomas. And then go back over this. Eugene Tran.
Will that be list be shared with us? Is that something that's public information?
Yeah.
And
And
student salvation
right.
Okay.
and many to fest from us. And
Additional questions? Councilmember Prince.
I'm a little concerned about the outreaching of minorities.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
I'm a little concerned about outreaching to engage minorities to participate. I'm not sure that social media, even though it's in different language, will be enough to get with where certain communities gather information.
Agreed. And that's where we're looking to leverage some of those connections we've had in the past with groups like with the Hispanic community, John Wyatt. I know even through the Mayor's Inclusion Task Force, we can leverage some of those members to get people from their community as representatives.
Thank you, Chief.
Mr. President.
Councilmember Prince, and then Councilmember Rivera.
Actually, I've already spoken.
Youth and seniors.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And that's one of the discussions we had within that group for discussing age, we will use that, go to the school district and try to get representatives, maybe from all 3 high schools, to be engaged with it, but also going to the senior center. It's important to have that, that youth voice there, but it's also important to hear from some of our senior members also.
Thank you.
Have you thought about maybe reaching out to some of our community partners like Neighborhood House, putting stuff in the community center we have up in the high, the KCLS?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess in not exceeding 25 members and how the members would be selected, I'm kind of concerned because I think I read earlier, like it was by steering committee member as part of the interview and or the police chief or a designee. What is the designee?
And I think our main goal is to have the steering committee make those main decisions. That's the community members we think should pick those members that are going to be on it. And again, we don't want that outward appearance of any bias that we chose them intentionally to stack it for some reason. We want to hear from the marginalized communities. People have had contacts with the police. If you don't mind, I'm not giving Gerald some credit. One of the issues, or one of the things we brought to the steering committee was what our application was going to look like. And what we had used is our typical volunteer application. As part of that, we do background check. And Gerald brought to our attention, hey, some of the people that you probably really want on this committee to hear their opinions are people that may have been, incarcerated before. So we decided, you're right, we took that piece out.
Yeah, I guess my question is, because it says here in the application process, it says, number 2, quote, applicant meets with a CCC steering committee member and or the chief of police, parenthesis, or designee to review their application. So that process, reviewing the application is also the interview, or is that just to review the application and then the interview will be with a panel within the steering committee? And how would those questions be ranked? Just to be honest, the equity commission didn't go as planned,
And so,
where 2 people with the highest ranked were not selected. So that is an issue with it. And so I want to ask clearly, who are the designee? Because it's very vague. And what are the overall?
and I apologize for that. Our thought right now is to have the steering committee choose those that we'll have, again, with the questions that were listed, we'll come up with some kind of rubric for scoring that. And so kind of to take away some of that subjectivity.
Councilmember Perez.
Thank you, Chief. First of all, I want to thank everybody that has volunteered to be part of the steering committee because it's a lot of work, and I know, and we appreciate a lot your input in these cases. I think that specifically with the Equity Commission, we are forgetting that having the input and having specifically the recognition of the time that you're going to spend interviewing these candidates is a valuable time because you are going to give us that feedback. In a specific place of the Equity Commission and this commission, I think this is just one of the tools of the holistic approach to select who are going to be the best candidates. No, it's going to score higher, but more like some are going to score very high. But in the whole in the whole process, there are going to be other things that are going to be as important as how high your score. So I appreciate the process a lot, Chief, because I know how hard it is. What I think that we are here seeing is that maybe we have to communicate more clear and very transparent with everybody, with our community, so they understand very well that it's not how high your score that is going to make you part of this community. That it is the highest score combined with your experience, combined with your work, combined with a lot of other factors, social factors that are make you the great candidate today to be there. But the other part is that we're going to have a lot of people probably to apply because that's what's happening with the Equity Commission. We don't want anybody that is not part of this election to feel that we are discriminating them in any formal way. We want to tell them, thank you for applying, but at the same time, you are gonna be welcome also to keep participating and working with us because it's something that we value,
Yes.
you know? So again, thank you very much to you for your time and volunteering to do this. And extend my thank you to the rest of the steering committee.
Yeah, I think we're talking about a different process. I think for me, I'm just unclear of this particular process. I brought up Equity Commission and they have their own process, rightly so. And I think I would beg to differ a little bit with Councilmember Perez on that. We do look at holistic in the Equity Commission. That's why we have a panel interviewers, quite frankly, and many group of folks interviewing folks. This one, I have concern again, is going back to one member, just one, right, of the CC steering committee member and or the chief of police, in parenthesis, or designee. What is the qualification for the designee, right? And if it is just to review the application and actually not an interview, that's different. And I know you come up with the rubrics, I totally understand. And it's a total different process. But I think that we really need to be clear that with community, when in terms of what is the measure, the measurements, the rubrics that we're grading folks, right? Unfortunately,
Yeah,
based on.
absolutely. And I agree with you, we can maybe be clearer.
Mr. President,
Councilmember Prince.
Chief, I'm looking at this, or their designee, could that be someone you designate from the police department for your command staff?
Correct.
Yeah, yes, sir.
And that should be, I mean, Commander Figaro is going to be our administrative representative.
That's,
Moving forward, I think we try to keep in mind less than a meeting, but-
yeah, that's what I figured or his designee meant, was
Yeah.
someone from police command that could fill in for it.
Yeah, I did too, but I want him to answer.
I understand.
Yeah.
I just wanted him to say it out loud.
They.
Say it out loud. so
That
we all
was
know.
my clarifying question as well. Thank you very much.
Additional questions, comments, feedback? Discussion? Yes, please.
So I believe we're to understand that this is a work in progress. And that it's at this point, there's nothing, chiseled in stone. And you are soliciting feedback from all your sources, including us. And we'll be party to whatever the end product is, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. That's good enough for me.
Chief, in the past, I'm talking about the past 10 years. Sometimes the executive branch has been accused to choose friends and family for some of these things. And I think those are some of the concerns. Concerns are that we're very transparent, that we're very open, that this is for everybody. Everybody can participate, and it's not going to be handpicked people. It's going to be people that can prove that they want the best intention to do this. And this is what I think is what you are presenting us, and it's because we all want this to work.
Yeah, absolutely. The integrity of what the council is going to be made out of is really important to us. We've said that from the start. That's why we don't want it to look like there's any bias towards us for that exact reason.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because I mean, that's why when I came on board as well too, and one of the ground rules for our steering committee, we really try to make an authentic approach to it. And we really don't want to, it's like talking to chiefs, it's like we're not going to have this being in a council where we're looking for yes and appeasement. We want to have challenge. We want to reach out to the community for those who are going to be pushing our boundaries, if you will, providing constructive feedback. And it's a great opportunity for us to be able to transparently communicate what's going on behind the scenes to our ability. And we really try to value that similar input that our steering committee articulated. It's like they don't want to be here just to produce a tokenized board, a rubber stamp, and really try to demonstrate that we value that approach, and that's the avenue we're going to.
Thank you.
I'm gonna Councilmember Rivera and then.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm really excited about this. I think to piggyback off what Sean is saying, because he keeps inspiring me, is another fear that I've heard expressed, and I've been privy to this as well, of this fear I've had of, these membership criteria just being check boxes. We have somebody from the African American community, we have somebody from, the Latino community, check mark, check mark, check mark. And I don't want that to be how we go forward, especially with this committee, because I think there's also a diverse way of thought, right? That, doesn't always speak to somebody's outward appearance, right? And so I hope that's also going to be taken into consideration to avoid that echo chamber of sorts.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. That's why we have our steering committee. That's going to be helping us with those decisions. But yeah,
I'm very excited. And then just to say, maybe we can be more stringent about, applicants who may have done the payroll of certain campaigns, and be wary of that as well, because that has been an issue.
yeah, exactly. We don't want someone coming in with an agenda.
Exactly.
What we're trying to do.
Yeah, thank you, President, Council President. I do have a question in terms of membership. I know we list all the ethnicity or race, whatever have you, and nonprofits. I would like us to consider veterans, right? And I know Councilmember Holland mentioned youth and seniors, because I think their perspectives are very important to our process.
Being a veteran, I agree completely.
And I'm a JAG, so thank you.
And I don't know if this is correct, and I wish we got your expertise on this. When it talks about your sexual preference, I think we should add one that say other. Sexual preference.
Or, are, not listed is usually a good alternative. If you
Yeah.
ask, in my opinion.
Yeah. On the list, yeah, that's the reason why I wanted to know.
And you've also made me think of something else, actually, you and Kim. And also, we should probably have somebody from the house who's had experience from the health system community be considered as well, or at least be a thought as part of the membership, either past or present.
And that's some of the input from the ONIGs that were part of the steering committee who's with Salvation Army.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking our feedback too.
So again, I'm going to be the positive note here because I think this is very exciting. I think this is something that we have talked over the years, and we were always very iffy about how we're going to do this. And this is very good. I think the questions are used to make it better, and the public to welcome it as much as we are, because this is something that it will bring us closer to the community. There is nothing that I want to see more than what I see when Jonah is within the community. To see us there, people trusting us 100%. And look, I say us, not you, which is important step forward. Thank you.
I have another question. During this process, were you guys able to reach out to pastors within the RAP organization, or not pastor Mike Thomas is here, but other folks broadly as well?
Like you mentioned, Pastor Mike was part of the RAP group. So, and I have actually talked about it with Dr. Linda Smith. We're starting to organize it. So she's
Yeah, and I know that the Sikh community is very eager to get more involved with the community. So there's, if you haven't reached out to them, I would recommend.
Deputy Chief Hartman and I were in a meeting with them a little over a couple months ago, probably, and actually mentioned this to them. Very excited to take part.
It's actually included some of the initial solicitations for community members from Benita.
Great, thank you.
Not seeing any additional hands. I'll just conclude with a couple comments and to close this out here. And just my reflection, I think this is obviously, first of all, the discussion's been really great. So thank you all for that. I think there's been a lot of good input shared, a lot of good feedback. Hopefully we'll get incorporated in. I'm excited about this. I think this is a huge need, and I just want to second some of the comments made as far as making sure, doing all the things we can to get the folks on this council that might not be the people who would normally come forward for something like this, and get those folks with that lived experience in there. I just want to second that because I think that is critical to this being effective and doing the purpose it's created for. So, and I know that's what everyone wants. So sometimes it's tough to get those people in the seats and get them to commit to do that. So I have all the faith and confidence that we'll put our best foot forward. This will be a huge resource for the city. So there's nothing further on this, I will go ahead and adjourn the committee. Thank you very much.
Okay.
We'll reconvene as a whole council at 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.